Now there goes 3 happy young fellas. And did you notice that pleased as punch expression on their faces as they walked by? That old dog didn't seem too unhappy about the situation either, now did he? Hi, I'm Slim Pickens, full-time actor, part-time hunter, and a concerned father. What I'm concerned about is the growing lack of communication between father and son in this busy age of ours. Like most dads, sometimes I feel that I don't get a chance to spend enough time with my boy. And finding that time is only part of the problem. Now, the folks at Winchester Western have taken a giant step in helping to solve this problem by organizing a series of father and son hunting and shooting seminars. That's what this picture's all about. A full weekend of practice, instruction, and actual field shooting for the boys and their dads. Now, this one took place here in Southern California, and my son and I, along with 29 other fathers and son teams, were privileged to take part.
Good evening, sir. Jim D. is my name with Winchester Arms Company. Al Latham, good to see you. These are your boys?
Yes, Scott and Larry.
Scott? Scott? Larry? That's all right. Good to see you. Welcome aboard.
After we got the registration taken care of and our gear tucked away in our rooms, we all met for our first classroom session. The men from Winchester explained what we'd be doing for the next 2 days and how we're going about doing it. They told us about the history of sporting firearms and how they have been improved over the years. And then it was Fred Misseldine's turn. Fred's won more championships and holds more records than a fella can count. He's made fine shooters out of fellas that couldn't even hit the broadside of a barn to start with. Here's an instructor that you'll be seeing later. So, after an evening of getting to know the shotgun, it was time to turn in. We were all up bright and early the next morning. After a big breakfast, while we headed for the buses that would take us to the gun club. Say, there's Van Heflin and his boy Tracy. As I looked around at all those faces, it was pretty tough to decide who was the most eager to get started, the dads or their sons. After a short ride across the San Fernando Valley, we arrived at the Aqua Sierra Gun Club in Chatsworth. Some of the fellas brought their own guns along. They didn't have to, though. The Winchester folks supplied the guns and the shells, and it's all included in the seminar price. After we were unbussed, we were sorted out into teams and introduced to our instructors. Then came the first lesson of the day, gun safety.
So if we have the guns out, if you'd put the cases back in the car, be sure that your actions are opened. Actions are opened at all times except when it is loaded and you're ready to go into the field. Okay, if you 4 hunters now will come over here, we'll get ready and load. Okay, now we will proceed to the fence and cross it and go into the first bird field. Now, just a minute, first man, fine. Okay, you're pointing your muzzle this way. You get right behind him. We're going in single file. Now, you just cradle the gun in this. Just let it ride right in the cradle. That's it. You may carry your gun this way. The man in the last group may carry his gun over his shoulder, but never when there is normally anybody behind him because he may be looking right at that muzzle. But that is the only time that you can carry your gun over your shoulder. I would prefer that you'd carry your gun in this fashion. Yeah, that's right. Carry it very easy. Just hang on to it, and that's the way. Okay, now we'll go over the fence, walk up to the fence. Now, you open your action take out one shell. You do the same thing. Now, I think we ought to change this and get, will you come up here, Scott? You two, can Scott come up with Dad here, will you? Okay, now you open your action. You take out that one shell. It's permissible to leave the other two shells or the other one shell in the chamber as long as that action is open. Okay, well, you pass that gun now to your dad. You go over the fence. Pass the guns over. All right, now I want all the guns in a straight line across. Fine. Now we'll go through here in single file. Now be sure that the guns are held in a safe direction. That is straight up in this particular situation.
Then, as my boy Tom says, we got down to the nitty-gritty of the whole thing, trying to hit those ducking, diving clay birds. This is where the Winchester guys really show their worth with helpful hints that turn misses into hits. And speaking of helpful hints, here's Fred Missildine with some right now.
This is the worst fault and the most often committed error. You see where his left foot is? He's got it too far behind his right foot here. You want to keep this foot out. This foot goes here, and this foot goes out like that. That keeps his shoulders square to the gun. To shoot a shotgun, you must keep your shoulders at right angles to the shotgun. A rifle, you stand parallel. Shotgun, you stand square. So by getting that way, then the gun goes right in his shoulder. The second thing, it gives him a good platform so he can stand up without falling down and not fall over. The gun goes between your collarbone and your shoulder bone, not on your bicep out here where you get a bruise. This is where 90% of the people shoot is off the bicep. Every hunter goes in the field, he throws the gun up from a lack of practice, it goes right out here on his bicep, he comes in with a black and blue mark. The gun goes in this hollow, right in here, the pocket. Right there. Good. Mainly lean forward. Every bit of your shooting you miss is this way. The gun is heavy, like I told you, and you do this. All right, you come out here and practice a little. We'll start with the high one. 12, 12, 12, 12.
Now, how's that for some fancy shooting? As the day went on, most of us kept improving under the watchful eyes of our instructors, and before we knew it, it was time for lunch. As you can tell by that line, they didn't have to call us twice. Nothing like a hard morning shooting to whip up an appetite. Following lunch, we had a short talk on hunting conservation by John Gardner, editor of Western Outdoors. Then it was back to the gun racks, and we were ready for the afternoon session. Those Winchester instructors turned out to be more than teachers. They were real friends. Each and every one of them is a dedicated shooter and hunter in his own right. Now here's Fred Missildine again, giving some instructions to Van Heflin's boy.
All right, but quicker. Now, you must shoot a shotgun real quick. Don't let it go too far. If it gets over there, you can't hit it. Right here. Now, right in here. Go. There. That's too late. Quicker.
Now here's one of the experts giving some of the fine points to the Latham boys.
Go.
You went through the target too fast and you shot right over the top of it. Now, if the rest of you watch this, now, try to keep that target. When you point it out there and follow it out, try to keep that target right about there. You've got a 20 or 30-inch circle of shot working for you. Cover it up and aim at it.
Yeah.
You don't see it. You lose it. Now, if the target is going this way, you have to get your gun ahead of it. This is get lead, getting ahead of the gun, and pull your trigger and keep the gun going through. I want you to get that up to your shoulder. Right up there. All right, now let that right up like that. That's it. Fine. All right, pull. Champ! Champ! That boy, look at that. Huh?
Doesn't kick too much.
The younger boy turned out to be a real clay buster. Now it's Dad's turn to try and uphold the dignity of the senior generation.
Because when you have to follow through, and if you're leaning back away from the gun, you don't have that advantage of following through because the recoil just throws you a little bit.
Oh. Good shooting, Harold.
Very good. Okay.
Pull. By the time the day was over, each and every one of us was a better and a safer shooter, beginner and old hand alike. Sunday dawned bright and clear after breakfast, church, and a pleasant bus ride out to the Simi Valley. We arrived at the Greenhead Club for a full day of hunting in the field. Once again, we were divided into small teams, each with their own instructor. The dog handlers met and were assigned the fields that they'd be working. Even the dogs were anxious to get started. And so we're off.
Okay, John, you go through.
You may recognize this guy. He's Frank Ferguson, one of the stars of the television show Peyton Place. Those are his dogs, Rags and Barney. Barney's just a pup, but Rags knows what this hunting business is all about. Just watch her work this field. There, she's locked onto a point. And it's a cock pheasant. Down he comes. Good shooting, young fella. While some of the teams are out in the field, the others are not just sitting around waiting to go. No, sirree. They're working at those traps, keeping those reflexes sharp. Now we go into the field with another team.
muzzle up.
This
in the
time
air.
it's Harold Latham with his boys Scotty and Larry,
Fine.
and Dr. David Owen with his boy Bill.
You go through, Scott, and let Dad pass his gun to you. Attaboy.
This feller is Paul Newton with his dogs Ginger and Fooey. Hey there, Ginger's on a point. Now we'll see how well yesterday's instruction at the trap field sank in.
That's it. Move right in on the dog now.
It's another cock pheasant, and young Latham has himself a fine trophy.
That's a peach of a bird. See, look at that nice ring neck. Beautiful bird. Real great.
Another point, and this time it's Bill Owen's turn to put one in the back.
Hey, you're on the bird. You did a good job.
Well, that's the story. And for 60 fathers and sons of assorted sizes, shapes, and ages, it was one grand weekend full of accomplishments and fun. It's getting tougher all the time to find a way to spend just a little bit more time with that son of yours before he suddenly becomes a man. Now, this is one way, and for my money, it's one of the best. As the folks at Winchester Western say, the man who hunts with his son will never have to hunt for him. So long.